Yes.
Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Joseph Michael Owens. I am a Nebraska born and raised writer. I sort of made it my mission to be a professional grad student for 5 or 6 years, so that's kind of what I've been doing. And then I just finished my MFA this summer, so it was kind of a protracted experience, 5 years for a 2-year degree. But I finally finished, kind of figured out what I wanted to do with my writing. I started off with journalism and nonfiction, and then I kind of transitioned into fiction, and along the way I kind of got into some more experimental type stuff. I won't be doing any of that tonight. This is a really straightforward lyrical essay, I suppose, more of a creative nonfiction piece, I suppose. I guess that's about it. We're ready to go. When Brock came inside today, I thought his foot looked a little weird. I think he thought so too, since he walked with a slight limp. We both stood there in the kitchen looking at each other. He considered his weird-looking foot for a second or two before returning his attention to me, asking without asking, "So what now, Chief?" Brock is my 7-year-old Vizsla, a Hungarian pointer, probably 50 pounds give or take, which makes him a little undersized for a pointer, but I'd be a liar if I said he isn't the scrappiest little son of a gun I've ever seen. A lady I know who does Vizslas for a living says they certainly got a little edge to him, that's for sure. Well, Brock has a lot of edge to him, and he still relies on me to have an answer in circumstances such as this one. So what now, Chief? So now here we are, buddy. He sits down over there in the sun right by the door that leads out to the back porch, watching me. I stand across the kitchen floor by the old refrigerator, nearer to the hallway, watching him watch me. It's pretty clear we are both intensely evaluating the situation we have here. The first problem I can see now is that his odd little limp is due to the fact that he somehow managed to crack, but not completely sever one of his longer rear toenails, halfway down from the look of it, leaving the nail cocked inward and sort of knurled, all crazily. It looks almost more like a monster's claw out of a horror movie, to tell the truth. The second problem I can see is that Brock absolutely, positively hates having his feet touched by anyone or anything, with the sole exception being grass and himself. I should probably admit here that the reason Brock hates having his feet touched is just about all my fault. When he was young, just a pup, I trimmed his nails a little too short on more than one occasion, and let me just say this, Brock was a little bleeder if I've ever seen one. The bleeding that usually resulted meant that Brock and his bloody nail cut to the quick got to spend some time confined to the shower so he didn't get blood all over the light-colored carpet, while I went to fetch some styptic powder for his mangled paw. Thus, our mutual understanding about his feet and my relationship to them. I walk over his way so I can get a closer look at that foot, and then kneel down so that I can be on his level. He draws his ears back, looking shamefaced and bat-like. I can tell he's almost apologizing to me, like he's saying, "You know I love you, Chief, but if you touch that nail, we're going to have a problem." Brock sucks in a deep breath and sort of half snorts it back out through his nose, all while never taking his eyes off me. Jenny, my wife, says that Brock's got little boy eyes. I tell him he probably isn't going to like this much, but it's not going to hurt, and I promise him that. Though I can see the reservation he has about this whole ordeal in general. I tell him I just want to assess the damage, that's all. There's no trace of blood on the floor, so that's a plus right off the bat. I slide my left hand under his collar and gently clutch at the fur on the scruff of his neck and then release it, just to test the waters before I do much of anything else, itching real hard behind his ears and jaws, just like he likes. He's not stupid. He knows all this vigorous itching is only me bribing him. He trusts me and I trust him, but Christ almighty does he really hate his feet being touched. After another few seconds of sizing up the situation, I firmly, though not roughly, just firmly, take hold of his collar. He snorts again, his little boy eyes fixed, unblinking. With his collar secured in my left hand, I reach my right hand down and gently touch his funky nail, probing around to see what all we're potentially dealing with here. Brock lets me know he's only going to tell me once to mind my P's and Q's, with a real deep, guttural growl that's not too loud because we understand each other that way. No need to go getting loud about it, but he's not really in the business of repeating himself either. "I'm just telling you I'm not really all keen on this, Chief," he growls. I cinch up a little bit on his collar, and his growl turns up a couple notches on the volume knob, but as I said, we trust each other. We trust each other as much as a man and a dog can when faced with a situation that calls for addressing the reality of what's happening, or what needs to happen. That nail is going to need to be clipped. We always trust each other, that is, until the time comes we don't. The toenail/claw is definitely in a predicament, that much is certain. Brock somehow managed to crack it, twist it all up 6 ways from Sunday, but of course not enough to where that little sucker shows even an inkling of separating. It's still firmly attached somehow, also almost as if it had grown that way on its own. Gnarly. The instant I take my hand away from his foot, he starts licking all over my hand. Water under the bridge, he says. I shift my weight to my haunches, and he more or less does the same exact thing I do, rearing up on his own little haunches, putting his front paws on my chest and licking my face. No hard feelings, right? I scratch his head and reassure him we're 5 by 5, good to go. When I stand up, he stretches big, wagging his stumpy beachlet tail and yawns before he returns to that perfect sit he's got. What now, his expression asks me. Good question, I say. So now we just wait. We're back to where we started. He and I looking at each other, him looking at me for instructions, and me needlessly scratching my head while I try to think. And then finally I say to him, because the look he's giving me convinces me that he knows exactly what I'm saying, I say to him, okay, you have about 2 hours to take Mom gets home. You can take care of this yourself, or she and I are going to have to take care of it later. 2 hours pass by, and Brock has by default decided his time would be best spent curled up on the couch, bathing in the warm and lazy afternoon sun, while he nods off, rather than us addressing his crazy toenail. I acquiesce to his decision. It's his toenail. The sound of the garage door jounces him awake, at which point he also gives me a look that says, in no certain terms of course, oh shit. He and I both understand that it's time to deal with things, and neither one of us is looking forward to this. Jenny comes inside and we say hi and I break down the situation for her. Brock never leaves his corner of the couch. The paralyzing effect of the warm sunlight proves too much to overcome, even in the face of arguably his worst fear come true, so he simply lies there, waiting for whatever fate has in store for him. He's accepted it. I hand Jenny the canine toenail clippers before walking over to Brock, who's resorted to showcasing his bad ears again. And like earlier, his gaze stays locked on me, unfaltering. He's of course long since revoked all toenail clipping authority and privileges where I'm concerned. Okay, buddy, let's do this. His expression is inscrutable, stolid. I sit down beside him and scratch his batty ears. The time has come, a ritual one he's totally stopped buying into. I apologize to him, and then he easily rotates his smallish 50-some-pound body to where he's ostensibly sitting in my lap. His back to my chest like he's a child, his hind legs sticking straight out. His deep growl returns briefly, but this time it's all for show. What he's doing is saving face. And half the time it took me to examine his paw initially, Jenny has the hangnail clip trimmed and normal looking. Just like that, it's all over. Brock springs from the couch and gives his pedicured toenail a few customary licks, shakes his entire body as though he's soaked in a layer of imaginary dampness, and he goes bounding up the stairs. No hard feelings. They'll probably have all forgotten about it in 10 minutes. Unconditional love. Except for the next time I try to touch his feet.